I wanted to take a little bit of time to make a video, and I'll also make an accompanying doc about how to use and access important things in the new user interface in Canvas. So what I have here is a learner who is logged in, and what you are usually seeing at the beginning is your dashboard. Your dashboard shows you all the courses. I know for most of you guys you have to keep scrolling because you have a lot of them. And this is just a quick way where you can see, oh, I need to go to the second year projects course. You can click there and it will take you. You can also switch back over to list view. However, I will say that it does not show you very much, and usually grid view is going to be the best option. Now you will notice that on these top two courses, second year's projects course and geometry, there's nothing else in the box. All I can do is go to that course. If I scroll down a little bit and look at my solar car course, I can see announcements, go straight to assignments, discussions, and files. I know you're thinking, well, shouldn't all classes have that? In our project classes, we want to make sure that you interact with the material in a way that fits with the project and will be most beneficial to you. So usually we have that set up on our home pages, and that's why you don't have the shortcut buttons on there. We want you to go to that home page. More on that later. Other thing you can do on your dashboard is if you look along the right hand side, you can see there's a quick link to the calendar. It will let you know what's coming up. For me, I have nothing for the next week, which is interesting. And that's because I don't have as many classes as you. And I can also see recent feedback. This is pretty awesome and definitely worth giving a look. It not only shows you whether or not it's been submitted and then graded, it shows you what the grade was, and it shows you a preview snapshot of some of the comments. If you click on any of these assignments, you'll be taken right to that particular assignment. So I can click on the action plan with conditional statements, and it takes me right to the assignment. I can see what I submitted if I want to look at it, and it will download that for me. I can also view feedback within the document itself. That will also allow you to see the submission. So here I can see, oh yeah, that's what I submitted. It's useful just in case you get a suggestion or you get a comment that says, hey, it was blank. You can check and see, yes, it was legitimately blank. Another thing you can do up here, sorry, I lost my connection there, is you can look at your rubric. So then you can see which components of the rubric were selected. And I'm going to do a little bit more on rubrics in a minute. So that's all from the dashboard. I was able to get to this particular assignment and look at all of these things. So when there's a question about how do I get feedback, I don't know what happened, it's all right there from the beginning in your recent feedback. Now, if you want to look at grades a little bit more holistically, you go all the way down to the bottom right-hand corner. It says View Grades. This used to be a big button at the top of your Canvas page, and now it's sort of hidden, but it's always going to be there on your dashboard. Now I'm going to click that, View Grades. So right now I see I have no grade in the second year's projects course, no grade in solar car, and I have a 70% in geometry. However, remember that this doesn't really tell you anything because we're grading a little bit differently, and so our percentages don't mean the same thing. So if I have a class like solar car, that's a club, so no grade there is good. If I have a class like the projects course or say geometry and I have no grade, there might be something I need to look at. So I'm going to go dive a little bit deeper into the grades for the second year's project course. And I click on that. I can see, oh, now you guys know my secret identity. You can see the grades and the assignments that have been submitted. So here I see there was the SMART goals submission and the critical skills. In this assignment list, I can see a little T under the SMART goals submission. What that means is I have submitted something, but nobody has graded it. So I'm still waiting on that grade to happen. So if you see a T, or sometimes it looks like a little document if you submitted a Google Doc, that just means it's pending still. And you can see out of, depending on how many points it's worth. And then along the other side, you can see any feedback, comments, and so on and so forth. This gives me this little warning sign because it says, hey, I'm not actually counting towards the final grade. This was a checkpoint to make sure you had a goal to help you do everything else. Now the next one, the critical skills, I have a dash. This means I have not submitted anything at all for this one. So as an observer or as a learner, you can go back and look at this and see, oh, it was due August 31st. I have nothing there. That's probably a problem. You can change how they're arranged by groups or by due date or by title. That's just a personal preference. Another thing that you can do here is you can access all your grades once you get into grades for any particular course. So if I go to that drop down, I can go to geometry or solar car. I'm going to go to geometry because that's where the other things I want to show you are at. So go to geometry, and it should populate now with the assignments from geometry. Again, you can change how they are arranged. Now here is something that's important. Up in the upper right hand corner, you can see it says total 70%, but then it has a letter next to it. That letter is the important thing. Now you'll notice you couldn't see the letter on the other page, which means you have to go into each course individually to see the letter grade that you are earning at the moment in each particular course. This is something we're working on changing so that the letter shows up in more than one place, but for now, know that yes, you can see that letter, yes, you can see where you're at, and it is in each individual course's grades. And when I scroll down a little bit, I can see what my various assignments were. Here's the spreadsheet setup. I have a check mark, so that shows that I did it. It was a complete or incomplete, and it was just 1 point. Now next to it, here's a couple of other things. First off, there's a comment. So when I click on that, it's going to open up the comment, and it says, I like that you chose to use bookmark, and it tells you who gave you that feedback and when they gave you that feedback. If there's more than one comment, it will continue to populate in that same box. There's also a little check mark with a plus. That just lets you see the scoring details. There's really not much that'll help you there. On the next one, I have my action plan. We saw a preview of this earlier. Gives me my score and the letter grade that it has. And now this shows 3 things. The first thing is a comment, so I'm going to click on my comment. My comment says that you have a solid understanding but need some revision of your format. You can see more specific comments in the rubric. So where do I find that rubric? Well, that's the third thing up here where it shows the little rubric, for lack of a better term. So if we click on that rubric, what it's going to do is open up the rubric that was used to grade the assignment. And now it shows you all of the criteria as well as all the various options in between, the ratings in between. So for this first one, it was a 3 out of 3 points. I did good. And there are no comments there because I didn't have anything that I needed to comment on. Next is other statements. Here I get a 1.2 out of 3.6, which means I only had 2 of the statements correct. So if I look again in the rubric, it says instructor comments. The converse and the contrapositive are in the wrong format. So those comments are what I need to act on, and you can't see those comments unless you open up the rubric. If I look down at the next section, again, I did not get perfect. So again, there is a comment in here. The action plan should start with your initial hypothesis. And then on the last one, I did get all the points, so I got all the highest ranking in here. And so there isn't a comment in that one either. I wanted to show you guys that because a lot of people have said, well, we haven't used rubrics before. So I wanted to show you where you can find those rubrics, access the comments in those rubrics, and move forward on that. There's another way to do this too, and I'll show you in just a second. Alright, so I closed my rubric and I have a couple more submissions coming down. The spreadsheet checkpoint has an X. That means I did not complete it. And it does have a comment. Let's see what the comment is. I don't see anything added in the sheet you shared with me. That's a feedback that I can act on. I can go back into that sheet and see what happened. Alright, so now you guys know all about how to access those grades, all about how to look at the rubrics. I did promise you a second look at another way to find rubrics, so I'm going to go into my action plan with conditional statements. Here is the screen we were at earlier. I showed you how you can view the feedback by looking at any comments that were added into the document. And we obviously can see how we can find the basic comments that are there. But what about that rubric? So if I look up here at the top under the grade, it does have a show rubric option. With the rubric open, I can see all of the things that were selected. This is exactly what the rubric looks like on the facilitator end as well. And then you also see some little green callouts. Those little green callouts say there's more comments here. So when you click on them, it lets you see what that comment was. The converse and contrapositive are in the wrong format. It's the same comment as we saw through grades, but now you know another place where you can find that, so you always know where you need to look in order to access your feedback. That's pretty much it with grades and with looking at rubrics. But I did want to show you one other thing while I had you captured here. I'm going to go to the geometry homepage. Just like we had the list of what's coming up and recent feedback in the other course, you can also see all of those things in individual courses as well. In the dashboard, you see all the courses. In individual courses, you only see the assignments that are related to that course. I wanted to show you guys this because I'm sending this video to observers as well, and you might not be aware about all the amazing resources that are available to your kids. So when you open up geometry, you're going to see the table of awesome, is what I call it. I've been perfecting the table of awesome for the past 4 years, so it's getting much, much better. The first thing you'll see is this is where I'm going to keep everything forever, so I have some stuff for the whole year. First are some documents. What did I miss allows you to see a document that says, hey, here's what we did, here's a link to it, and now you know what you missed when you were absent. I also keep a running list of assignments that are coming up, so I'll show you a preview of that. And click on that link and you can see all the assignments that are coming, as well as I strike through them when the due date has passed, and you can see what else is coming up. In that table, I also have some additional resources. And the additional resources are a YouTube channel with some good videos that I have created. The Khan Academy SAT and PSAT prep course, it's really, really good. I actually just got an email about it this morning. So I highly suggest checking that out for those of you guys who are starting to think about those tests. I also have a link to a really good resource website that has practice problems and explanations, and a shortcut to iExcel for the Academy login. Then, once we're moved on to other projects, I'll put the old projects linked here so that you will always be able to access everything. So that's just stuff that's going to be there for the whole year, but if you scroll down a little bit, it's where we access our things for each individual day of our current project. Now going down to the bottom, you see my table, and I have it organized fairly well. In the first column, I have whatever the concept is that it's related to. In the second column, I have resource pages that you can use. So I'm having a really hard time with probability. I can check out the probability resource page. In the next column, I have whatever we're doing in our mod that day. I link it, and you'll see this thing that is yellow up here. If it's something we're doing in the mod that day, it's highlighted yellow so the kids have no problem finding it. And then on the last column, I have whatever assignments are associated with that. Now, the reason I organize it this way is that you can look at a row all together. I'm highlighting that row. This is all probability stuff. So I can see where the resource page, that will help me on that assignment. I can see the things that we did in class, that will help me on that assignment, and so on and so forth. That's sort of my thinking behind having that for you. And again, this is where you're going to get all those assignments that you want to submit. That will show up in your recent feedback. If you have any questions, please send me a Canvas message or an email or talk to me in person. I want to make sure everybody knows how to access all of the great feedback we're giving you, because I know a lot of you guys had goals this year that were related to being a little bit more proactive about resubmitting and making sure that you really understand. So again, that's it. Grades, rubrics, important information in the new Canvas user interface.